check out Gapminder.org. And when you get to the website, click on Gapminder World. And what we're going to be looking at here are scatter plots of data collected from all over the world. So the default display that we're brought to here is showing us income per person plotted against life expectancy in years. And what we see is a positive, linear, and moderately strong association. If these points, if there was less scatter, if they were really tight here in a perfect line, we would call that a very strong association. And the different data points in the plot are showing us different countries from all around the globe. And their relative sizes are communicating information about their relative populations. So India and China are huge. The United States is relatively large. And also the different colors here are showing us the different regions all over the different continents. So we've got the African countries, we've got Asia and Southeast Asia, we've got the Americas in yellow, etc. One of the neat things about Gapminder is that it will show us how these data change over time as well. And if you push the play button over here, it'll start from the earliest data and play a little movie. What you see is that in the early 1800s here, people didn't live much past 40. But probably as our technology, science, and medicine, etc., improved, people's life expectancy grew. Now, you'll also notice that not everybody has access to these kinds of benefits. It's only the countries with large GDPs that are accessing these larger life expectancies. And you can also see that China, which started out not looking so hot down here, towards the end of the 20th century and on into the 21st, as their economy has exploded, China's catching up with the so-called first world. You should also notice that we're looking at a logarithmic scale down here. So between these two tick points, we've got $40,000 and $100,000. That means there's $60,000 between these 2 points. Now, the same distance down here is showing us 400 to 1,000. That's only $600. This is what a logarithmic scale is. If we change it back to a linear scale, you'll notice that the data are actually curved. And in the near future, we're going to be looking at some techniques like this for straightening our data to look at scatter plots and associations. One of the other really awesome things about Gapminder is that we can look at a whole bunch of different variables on these axes. So something that I thought was interesting to look at was the literacy rate of adult females plotted against this so-called fertility. So this axis is showing us the number of children per woman, and this one right here is showing us some measure of their education. And what we see here is clearly a negative association between these two variables. It's also linear. We've got both axes linear, and it's moderately strong. There's a fair amount of scatter. We see, for example, that some countries might have a high literacy rate for female adults and also have a high fertility rate for those females. But overall, from 1975 on, there's a very clear negative association between these two variables. And what that might imply is that as these women are educating themselves, or perhaps as these different societies are allowing these women to educate themselves, they might be choosing lives that are not just about making babies. So these are some of the things that you can do with Gapminder.